tonight on KBC Channel 1 for a program that is objective and offers answers to matters economic, security, social, political, food, infrastructure, and setting the agenda. Join us for Charging Currents.
President Uhuru Kenyatta outlined his vision for the country, a vision of development and economic growth for the benefit of every Mwananchi. Every week on Project 254, we highlight the strides that have been made in improving the lives of millions of Kenyans. Every Thursday at 8:30 p.m.
My baby, replay, playing my favorite tune. Oh, yeah, chance I'm ready, your love. Oh, already your love. My shaggy, I don't know passing us on your baby, my honey.
Tunakupa burudani.
Na umbea, yani stories zinazo trend kwenye mitandao ya kijamii.
See baby, now we are two in one. We are two in one.
Interview kali za wasanii wapendao.
Mguu pande pana milima. Aoye izungushie hapo ma. Kama una
Ndani ya March of Life kupitia KBC Channel 1 na Pwani FM.
Kuanzia mida ya saa 3 mpaka mida ya 5 kamili asubuhi. Ukiwa nami ni Teken 1GB.
Mimi ni Marco. Keep it locked.
Next on
Equity Foundation has done a phenomenal job. They put the producers, the suppliers, and the people who are using it together.
My guests get to share their traumatic experience.
So what happened after that? I remember I became so numb and the pain was too much. She was doing so bad and I could tell things were not so good.
All's well that ends well.
Today I just had an amazing day.
Right now, if you go to any hospital, in Mararal, Marsabit, Lamu, all the hospitals, everywhere, everybody's got PPE.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit.
Quickbit?
Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder.
399 shillings.
Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua pizza. Shilingi 2 unaweza nunua micro. Shilingi 5 unaweza nunua hata gari.
so tupeleke huko hata
Mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
on board. We'll be looking at several stories, including what is happening locally, regionally, and internationally. Glad to have you on board. We're also going to be talking about matters of e-commerce in light of COVID disruptions, to just understand the status report of e-commerce as we head to the festive season. We'll be joined by none other than the CEO of Jumia Kenya, that is Mr. Sam Chapet. So do keep it right here. But first things first, let us start off with our main stories this morning. Well, the news desk has been preparing. Now, the Interfaith Council for the COVID-19 response team is accusing the political class for abandoning Kenyans of their own selfish gains. Now, the council, led by the Vice Chairperson, Reverend Connie Kivuti, claims the government has lost focus on the fight against COVID-19 pandemic, with politics now clouding the nation. The council is appealing to the government to listen to the cries of medical workers who are in the forefront fighting the pandemic.
The Interfaith Council for COVID-19 response team has faulted the government, saying it has shifted its focus to political matters, even as the country records soaring numbers of coronavirus infection.
It is worrying that despite the rising cases, the country appears to be losing focus of the importance of combating this pandemic. Unfortunately for us, the political class are not focused on health crisis, but on other political issues.
The council also expressed disappointment over the healthcare workers' demands, calling on the government to find an amicable solution before the country falls into a crisis.
Pamoja na serikali zetu za ugatuzi waweze kuongea pamoja na wahudumu wa afya, wamalize mzozo ambao unaonekana kama unanukia, ambao utaweza kuzuia huduma kwa Wakenya.
The council says the church has played its part in adhering to all requirements for the containment of the pandemic, and the state must play its role. Beginning the 27th of this month, the Interfaith Council says all church services will last not beyond 90 minutes, and only those between 6 to 65 years will be admitted to attend, while urging those with underlying conditions to stay and pray at home.
The numbers that will be attending funeral services is 100 people, with only 15 allowed at the graveside. The duration of the burial must not exceed 1 hour, and no food shall be served in funerals.
Kuna mikutano ambayo inatokea baada ya ibada. Unasikia kuna wazee wanakutana, wamama wanakutana, kuna mkutano wa wanarika, kuna mambo kama haya. Tunasema baada ya ibada watu waende nyumbani.
The council says its chairperson, Reverend Anthony Muheria, who was taken ill after testing positive for COVID-19, is recuperating and in stable condition.
Away from matters of COVID-19, and now we focus on matters of climate, where over 900 families are currently camping at Camp Ndege in Baringo South Sub-County, or Baringo County, after being displaced by insecurity and flood waters of Lake Baringo. Now, the displaced victims claim they lack basic amenities like food, water, shelter, medical and sanitation services, and have to rely on donations to survive.
This is what flood victims have to endure after being displaced by flood waters from Lake Baringo. Many have had to endure harsh reality of sleeping without food, water and proper shelter. One of the victims, Rosalind Nabori, said many displaced families have had to depend on donations and handouts from well-wishers, and the conditions at the camp are unbearable.
Sisi tulipata changamoto kwa sababu tuliwacha manyumba yetu ndani ya maji, tulikuja mbuzi ikakufa barabara, alafu tukakuja kuishi hapa na shida mingi sana, kwa sababu hata tunakosa hata maziwa ya chai, tunakosa hata chakula.
Area Chief Leonard B. Kumati revealed that the families are undergoing severe challenges with no toilets and water, and urged the county government to come to their aid.
Shukuru tu washirika ambayo wameleta maji, wamesema watatuletea tangi wataleta choo kidogo kama 3 hivi. Sisi tunaona hiyo tutafuata hivi karibuni, lakini mimi naona hiyo mandoo ikiingia, mimi naomba county government yetu waangalia hawa watu kwa maji, kwa sababu tutapata kitu kama drum 3 kubwa ya maji. Kwa hivyo changamoto ni kubwa sana ndugu yangu.
During the flagging off of relief aid at the Kiwanja Ndege IDP camp in Marigat Ward, Bible Translation and Literacy National Director Peter Munguti said the community had been affected in the recent past by incidents of insecurity and displacement by the rising waters of Lake Baringo and called for more aid to alleviate the situation.
We all know that we are going through a time of a pandemic, and if you look at the people who are gathered in the camp here, many of them, they do not have the economic power to buy hand sanitizers or even to buy masks. First and foremost, they need food, but also they need to be protected against COVID-19.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Bentro Njue.
Now, the Kenya Film Commission has partnered with ADA Labs Africa to host an animation bootcamp in the country to boost capacity in the Kenyan film industry. KFC CEO Timothy Owase says the arrangement will see local animators trained by professionals from across the world with an aim of making Kenya an animation powerhouse in Africa.
A very small place. While launching the ADA Animation and Bootcamp in Nairobi, the Kenya Film Commission said the initiative will boost capacity in the Kenyan film industry with an aim to increase the pool of skilled professionals in the field of animation.
Our key rallying call to the country is that the year 2021, the Commission, in partnership with ADA Animation, we are going to run a nationwide campaign. This campaign is aimed at identifying key animators or young talents that can be grown into becoming real animators for commercial purposes, and also to identify these skills from each and every corner of this country. When we do this, then Kenya will be ready for the international market.
According to Timothy Owase, the CEO, Kenya Film Commission, the bootcamp will provide the emerging animators with requisite skills and opportunities for mentorship by tapping into the vast wealth of knowledge and experience from industry's professionals.
For the past 12 weeks, ADA Animation has confirmed that through this bootcamp, it is possible. You have seen the kind of products that have been shown or done by these young people. And for us, that is just an exhibit that if well nurtured and identified, it's possible that we can be able to tell these stories well.
As we go to the Oscars from Kenya, which is our opportunity, I believe that the whole nation will back us, and lots of other animation studios as well will also come to work together so we create a collaborative effort.
The Commission is optimistic the initiative will place Kenya on the world map as an animation powerhouse, creating job opportunities and other commercial ventures for the youth. This comes on the backdrop of the recent launch of gaming and animation equipment and software at the Swahili Port Hub by the Commission as part of its initiative to empower the creative community in Mombasa County. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
Now, police in Espanya, the Kenya-Tanzania border, have started a 3-day sensitization program for residents on the importance of observing the COVID-19 containment measures issued by the Ministry of Health. The police also distributed hundreds of free masks to residents in Espanya town.
After 20 remandees at the Kehancha police station in Isebania, Migori County tested positive for the COVID-19, police in the area have kicked off a sensitization campaign to educate the residents on how to keep the virus at bay. According to Isebania OCPD Kleti Kimaio, some residents were experiencing challenges acquiring masks and did not have the right information regarding COVID-19 containment protocols.
During the weekend, because of those challenges, I told the officers, instead of arresting these people, because they are not following the COVID-19 regulations, I told them it is better that we move around the town sensitizing civilians on the importance of complying with COVID-19 regulations.
Residents lauded the initiative, expressing optimism it would go a long way in reducing the number of infections in the area.
Nashukuru sana kwa kuwa leo serikali wametembelea hapa sokoni, wametupa na barakoa, wametusaidia na kutuhamasisha ambayo wana barakoa wanasaidiwa na kutuelimisha tuvae barakoa na kuweka maji sehemu kwenye biashara na sanitizer. Tunashukuru sana kwa jambo waliotengenezea leo.
Watu wengine wanachukulia ni mchezo, so wengine wafai. Sasa akiona askari ndio wanafaa. So ni vizuri hivyo wanafanya operation ndio watu waelewe kweli ni vibaya.
Wananchi pia naona kama wameitikia wito na kabisa wameona kwamba watekeleze jinsi Wizara ya Afya imeweza kueleza kwamba tuvae maski na tuwe na kujihadhari, kwa sababu ni vizuri kujihadhari kuliko kutibu.
The exercise will end on Saturday. For Channel 1 News, I'm Ben Troinjue.
Well, now we take a short break, but in return we're going to be talking about matters of e-commerce, given that November is usually known for, Black Friday options. So what are you planning to buy ahead of the festive season? And how has the e-commerce sector in the country reacted to COVID-19 disruptions? That and so much more, including what is happening as far as BBI is concerned, will be coming up in Otolog. We take a short break. We'll be right back.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Enjoy the magic of Christmas with Coca-Cola.
National Nurses Association of Kenya have about 15,000 nurses in 47 counties. When the first case was pronounced, the whole nation ran into panic. You remember when the first patients were going to the health facilities, the doctors, the nurses were taking off, and you couldn't have blamed them. The only way to defeat this fear was to train these guys and to provide them with a personal protective gear and psychosocial support. Equity actually gave us a check towards training and psychosocial support. We struggled to buy the basic items, the thermogun, the gloves, the masks, and the sanitizers. We prayed for resources through Equity Group. The first batch of PPE has been distributed to all the counties, and you could feel their joy, their gratitude, because they didn't know where the protective gear will come. They really feel that support from Equity, and they are really appreciative about it.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako? Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua free. Shilingi mbili unaweza nunua micro. Shilingi tano unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16, kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
They showed their might in the inaugural FIBA African in Mali with the silverware. They are ready to make it even better in the FIBA AfroBasket 2021 qualifiers in Rwanda. Let's rally behind the Kenya Morans as they take on the opposition from Angola, Senegal, and Mozambique from 25th to 27th of November on your true sports partner KBC Channel 1. In their quest for success, this is just the beginning. Save the dates for the best.
Now, glad you're still with us, and if you're joining us, this is indeed Lunchtime News on KBC Channel 1. I'm Regina Manyara. Now, before we took a short break, we had some highlights on what is happening as far as COVID reactions, reactions around COVID and their mitigation measures from across different divides, or rather different sectors of the country. Now we shift gears and talk about matters of e-commerce. Question is, how has been your experience? And being live, we invite your feedback. Our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1 News, and we're streaming live on www.kbc.co.ke. How's been your experience when you're doing online shopping, and what do you expect to buy towards the end of the year, being that we are inching closer to the festive season? Now, to put matters of e-commerce into perspective is none other than the CEO of Jumia Kenya, Mr. Sam Shepard. Welcome, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Now, just give us the statistics, in terms of performance of the e-commerce sector between 2018, 2019, actually last year, 2019 and 2020. How does that compare?
Well, it's been a interesting year for everyone across business in Kenya. For e-commerce, we've been more fortunate than many in the sense that the digital economy has been less impacted than many other sectors. This is what's been really exciting about this, is that we can play an important part in people's lives over this period. People want to stay home. People don't want to go into markets or into supermarkets to do their shopping, so we can provide a real valuable service to keep people safe and keep them with access to the products that they want and need. Also, I think really important this year for businesses, in particular small businesses, because as traditional markets get disrupted, as moving around the country gets tough, it's a great opportunity for SMEs to start selling online, as many of them have been doing this year.
Now, with the introduction of digital tax, do you think that this trajectory, or rather this growth that we have seen as far as e-commerce is concerned, is going to be somewhat affected? Or what do you think the impact of digital taxation is going to have on e-commerce?
I think it's a very sensitive one. I think it's important. There's a lot of excitement around e-commerce, which is great. But we have to remember we are very much at the beginning of this industry in Kenya, and so if we want this industry to evolve, to create hundreds of thousands, millions of jobs, which it has the potential of doing over the next decade, we need to encourage the growth of the sector. What do we mean by that? We mean we need to encourage businesses to start coming online and selling online. We need to do a big job to educate customers about how to shop online and that it's safe to transact online. And that takes time. And so I think the biggest risk that we need to balance with digital taxation is around, sort of milking the cow before there's enough milk to take.
Oh yeah, milking the cow too early.
There you go.
Yeah? Okay, fine. We get that. Now, you've already told us that we have, the e-commerce sector has grown, or rather registered some semblance of growth despite the COVID-19 disruptions. Now, what have Kenyans been buying? What has stood out in as far as trends? What have Kenyans been buying?
Quite some interesting trends this year. I think the most obvious one is people have been buying sanitizer and masks. So we've seen an explosion of those sales. We worked very hard at the beginning of COVID to get access to these products. To work with manufacturers to bring in masks from abroad when there were big shortages. That's no longer the case, fortunately, which is good. Other categories that have done very well have been beauty. For example, I think beauty is our fastest growing category, I think, today. Why? Because people are staying home. People are staying home. People aren't going to salons as much, and so people are doing sort of treatments at home. People are changing their buying habits a bit, so moving away a bit from makeup and more into creams because they're going out less. So lots of interesting trends there. Which we're very excited about. And then, of course, the continued growth of everyday essentials. People come to Jumia every week now to buy, milk, to buy sugar, to buy rice at great prices.
That is nice. That is interesting. The beauty industry is growing, and yet we are not partying as we used to. Wow, interesting. There are indeed interesting trends. Now we are headed towards the festive season, and over the last few days, we have seen promotions online. Black Friday in November. How about that?
Very exciting. It's been going on now, Black Friday on Jumia, for the last couple of weeks, but the big day is tomorrow. We're calling it sort of Ultimate Black Friday. It's sort of the International Black Friday day, and we have thousands of new deals. So if you've already shopped, come back, there's great opportunities. And if you haven't, don't worry, we've got tons of more stocks of everything across all categories. It kicks off at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning and runs throughout the day.
Yeah, thank you. You need to repeat that for our audience. Because over the few days, few weeks that people have been shopping on this Black Friday promos, the timings are quite, way in the wee hours of the night. But it's good to know that this one will be on from 9 a.m. till what time?
9 a.m. until the end of the day, basically. So there's great offers throughout the day. There's flash sales on our app, pretty much every hour. There's great games. I mean, last Friday we gave away a year's rent to one lucky guy, actually an army guy from based up in Nanyuki, who came down to pick up his check yesterday. So there's great games, there's great competitions, throughout the day. So download the app and you'll get everything.
You've said it's going to be quite an exciting day tomorrow from your end. Are you expecting that Kenyans are really going to come out in numbers and shop? There's been this notion that Kenyans do not have money at this point, especially to spend on non-essentials.
Yeah, I think many of our customers are spend conscious right now, which doesn't mean they're not going to spend at all, right? We all need to eat. We all need to, replace a smartphone if your phone is broken. So people are going to be spending, but people are going to be very thoughtful about where they spend, what they buy. And so Black Friday for us is the opportunity of creating significant value for people. People can save money and buy the things that they want. And so I think that's what people are going to focus on tomorrow.
Now, maybe you can let's digress from, Black Friday matters for now and bring in the status report of the National Address System. You're one of the stakeholders for this. So where are we as far as this is concerned?
The address system, I think, is as it is today. And to be honest, for e-commerce, we've adapted to it. And so it works. Would we save some logistics cost by having a more formalized addressing system? Probably. Is it a deal breaker? No. I think, today we deliver all over the country with our partners. We have hundreds of pickup stations. So I see that as added value for the industry, but not absolute requirement.
Now, we're going to the festive season. What are we expecting to see? Especially, Kenyans have a way in terms of shopping. We shop towards the end of the year for the festivities. Are you expecting the same this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think many customers are sort of are stocking up over the Black Friday period, so that you've already done a lot of your Christmas purchases, your festive season purchases over the Black Friday period. But for others, there'll be a big, Christina Jumia campaign kicking off at the beginning of December, running throughout the month. There's a very big spike actually in online deliveries on Jumia Food in the last weeks of the month. So around Christmas, around New Year's, people are getting together for meals, getting together to have some drinks, and so actually Jumia Food orders tend to be very elevated over the last couple of days of the year as well.
Now, the issue of security of products, the tracking system on the e-commerce platform is deemed to be a game changer, for customer relations, especially where there's a lot of doubt in the handling of these products. What's your take as an industry player?
Product quality is very important to us because the most important thing is that people have confidence in buying online. Because unlike the offline retail where you can touch and feel before you purchase, here you're trusting that Jumia and other e-commerce players are going to deliver what you expect. So we've taken significant measures over the course of the last years, but in particular this year actually, to delist vendors, to delist products, and we use the reviews that customers give us in a big way actually now to act. And so we have the benefit of reviews and feedback from thousands, hundreds of thousands of customers, and that information helps customers make buying decisions. And so people can use the ratings and reviews they see on the system to have confidence when they buy.
parting shot ahead of the mega sale starting tomorrow 9 a.m.
Black Friday, biggest day of the year, happens tomorrow 9 a.m. on the Jumia app. See you there.
Indeed, we're not going to belabor the point. That's the CEO of Jumia Kenya, Sam Chappett, saying, indeed, tomorrow is the day you just get there, shop for not just, electronics, since it's a festive season. You can also take an opportunity to shop for, your basic needs, the unga, the cooking oil and such. All these are going to be available. Matters of e-commerce, a sector that has been thriving despite the COVID-19 disruptions. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
Now we cross over to Nakuru County and speak matters of security, where a section of legislators from Nakuru County have accused the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and some politicians of being behind the attempts to reopen investigations into the post-election violence cases. Led by Naivasha MP Jane Kihara, the legislators claimed some former internally displaced persons had been approached by a politician to record fresh statements in relation to the 2007-2008 post-election violence.
After President Uhuru Kenyatta warned against revisiting 2007-2008 post-election violence cases, a section of politicians from Nakuru have accused the DCI boss George Kinoti of being dragged into politics.
Tumeona hiyo ni siasa ambayo ni siasa mbaya ya mambo mambaya sana ilifanyika hapa. Tumeamua kukaa pamoja sisi watu wa Naivasha, Nakuru County yote tumeamua sisi tunataka kufanya kazi pamoja.
Speaking in Naivasha after meeting with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission NCIC, the leaders vowed to jealously guard the current peace and tranquility in the country.
Anybody who is trying to bring maybe issues, we are going to highlight as members of parliament, as also as the commission, so that we can be able to get the way forward for our people. We don't want to see any other death. We don't want to see another threat. We have said enough is enough. We want to make peace.
Led by Naivasha Member of Parliament Jane Kihara, the leaders claimed some former IDPs had been approached by a politician to record fresh statements in relation to the post-election chaos. During the meeting, the politicians shared with the NCIC the plight of former IDPs from Enospukia who were never resettled.
Wale wanahusika na wale wanatengeneza hii mambo ya mashamba kule Njoro constituency na Molo constituency wahakikishe wamefanya na hakuna mtu yeyote ameachwa, bora alikuwa akikaa pale vile president alisema.
We are going to continue this dialogue. We have agreed that the methodology that we want to use is that of dialogue and of participation.
NCIC Chairman Reverend Dr. Samuel Kobia said the commission is working closely with elected leaders to ensure there is peace ahead and after the general election. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
Now, African media in China are partnering under the African Link Union ALU in efforts to fight the COVID-19 pandemic and to effectively promote construction of a China-African community with a shared future. Now, in a virtual council meeting, representatives of member media outlets, including the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, expressed gratitude in the union, noting they have drawn important insights from China's efforts in the fight against the pandemic.
In a virtual meeting held Wednesday between Chinese media outlets CGTNC, CCTV Plus, and various African media organizations, including the Kenya Broadcast Corporation, representatives of union members expressed optimism in the partnership, saying it offers them a chance to gain important insights in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. During the meeting, the need to establish a more efficient mechanism for sharing and disseminating reports emerged. The media was challenged to take social responsibility as a medium and build a more orderly international discourse. Until now, 35 mainstream media organizations from 28 African countries have joined the union. This past year alone, ALU members exchanged more than 12,000 pieces of news content, and 7 members won prizes for their significant contributions to the union. ALU was initiated by CCTV Plus and media organizations across Africa in June 2016, aiming to promote news exchanges between China and Africa and tell stories of Africa to the world. Wycliffe Okech, Channel 1 News.
On that note, we take a short break, but in return, we're still going to be focusing on those stories that are making headlines. Do not go away. We'll be right back.
Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduzi ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua pizza. Shilingi 2 unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi 5 unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
It is an all-Egyptian affair and a first for CAF as two home teams face each other in the final of the 2020 CAF Champions League. Al Ahly will be all out to maintain their dominance in the elite African clubs competition against their arch rivals Zamalek, who are raring for a fight to the death. You cannot afford to miss this thriller on the 27th of November only on your true sports partner, KBC Channel 1 from 10 p.m. We have a lot in store for you. Be on the lookout.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Kinyanjui, what are you doing? What does it look like I am doing? Atito, I have never been this patient. This is what is called business. Those are expensive gadgets.
Sick. Talk of selfish. I thought mothers were supposed to be taking care of their children and kids.
Until when they get old, then you become the mom.
But I am not old enough. I don't want to be a mom. How can I be a mommy to my mommy and a mommy to my brother?
Mr. Tisha, did we offend you?
Why would you think that, huh? This is not the time for stories, Kinandri.
This is so boring.
Common law.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Good afternoon. Now we want to take you live to Mudavadi Center, where Musalia Mudavadi is addressing the press in regard to matters of BBI. Let's have a listen.
This. So it's in the context of this that we are doing, making this statement, and then we shall now also pronounce our final position on this statement. Good? So, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow Kenyans, today I wish to make a statement which will reflect ANC's position as a party on the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 after consensus. When the final BBI report was released, ANC party critically read, studied, and analyzed each and every proposal in it. As a result, the ANC party cited several proposed amendments which, in our view, required further consultation, consensus, and subsequent amendments. We believed, and we still believe, that consensus is the way to go. We believe that this will enhance better governance and demonstrate genuine concern for the welfare of our citizens. Yesterday, the 25th of November 2020, the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 was released and signature collections launched. On our part, we have again undertaken a detailed study and analysis of the bill. We are satisfied that the bill has been revised, edited, and realigned, and has now incorporated new proposed amendments, some of which we indeed had proposed. Indeed, this bill has demonstrated a significant shift from the earlier proposals, and for this reason, we are encouraged by our insistence and that of many others, such as the Church, that consensus was given a chance. In this bill, our collective efforts have borne some fruit, as outlined briefly below. I will now go through some of the areas that we wish to highlight for the benefit of Kenyans. The new proposed amendments. 1. Article 88. In the earlier proposal, please listen to this significantly. In the earlier proposal, the IBC commissioners were to be 7, 4 of whom were to be appointed by parliamentary political parties. In this new document, this proposal has been shelved altogether, meaning that appointment of the IBC shall remain as currently provided under the present constitution. Our verdict: this enhances IBC's independence. The second item, Article 89. The earlier proposal, that is in the document that was launched earlier. In the earlier proposal, 70 additional constituencies called multi-member constituencies were to be created, and the criteria was not clear. It thereby gives rise to fears that these additional constituencies might be distributed unfairly to give certain regions undue advantage over the rest through a biased representation. However, the new document released yesterday is very clear now. Under a proposed Schedule 2, the multiple member constituencies have been removed. These are the ones that were more or less calling the virtual constituencies. They have been removed. Instead, the additional 70 constituencies have been mainstreamed as single member constituencies and have been specifically designated in various counties across the country. So that, again, in our view, is a positive development. The third item is Article 97. In the earlier proposal, and I keep on repeating this, ladies and gentlemen, the earlier proposal, so that we can show you that we've been tracking the changes. And that is what I said, that we shall track the changes. In the earlier proposal of Article 97, there was no clear provision for gender affirmative action in the National Assembly, and the proposal did not guarantee the 2/3 rule, thereby compromising women representation from this critical house where participation in decisions affecting resources takes place. Now, in the new document, the one released yesterday, a clear affirmative action for people with disabilities, women, and youths has now been created to provide for the following. A, for people with disabilities in the National Assembly, that is 2 men and 2 women. B, 2 youth, a man and a woman. And then C, special seats to cater for the 2/3 gender rule, so that after a general election, the National Assembly will have 360 MPs. If the affirmative criterion will not have been met, and then political parties will nominate members from among women who contested in the preceding election. Our verdict is that this is progressive in that.
Now, those are live pictures from the Musalia Mudavadi Center, where the ANC party leader there, Musalia Mudavadi, is addressing a press conference in reaction to the Constitution Bill 2020, saying then, I quote, that the ANC is satisfied that the bill has been revised to include some of the issues we had raised. And he also further went on to to mention some of the proposed amendments, quoting there Article 88, 89 and 97. Well, our reporter Suleiman Yeri, who is on ground, is going to be preparing a detailed report, so you can catch it on our subsequent bulletins. Now we cross over to Isiolo, where a section of leaders and residents now want the proposed referendum to go hand in hand with the 2022 general elections to save public resources. The residents further termed the spirited push for the Building Bridges Initiative, a constitutional amendment, as a misplaced priority at the moment.
With BBI now moving to the next phase of signature collection, leaders are still questioning the clamor for constitutional amendment as a priority when the country is grappling with more serious challenges that need urgent attention. Isiolo Women Representative Rehema Jaldesa saying that it will be irresponsible for the government to allocate billions of shillings for the referendum process while other more important issues suffer.
Kuimba rege juu ya watu ambaye wamekufa. Tunaimba rege juu ya kaburi. Tunaimba rege juu ya watu ambao siku 3-4 hawajaweka chakula kwa mdomo.
Isiolo Interfaith Network Secretary Bishop Stephen Kalunyu also called upon the BBI proponents to consider postponing the whole agenda and concentrate all the resources on boosting the economy.
Tuanze kufikiria vile ambavyo tutasaidia wananchi wa Kenya. Naomba tufikirie mambo kusaidia mahospitali yetu yawe na dawa.
This as the Maa Community County's leadership promised to ensure a massive Building Bridges Initiative BBI draft signature collection in support of the looming constitutional review. Kajiado, Narok and Samburu governors said they will ensure the Maasai community is united in support of BBI.
And as much as there may be an issue or two, we believe that the many good things into it justify for us to support it.
Personally, in Narok County, I'm going to take charge of ensuring that this initiative is going to attain the signatures which are required.
It is instrumental that we also take leadership at this level for all our 3 counties as Maa, so that we gain one bargaining platform, both as a community, as a people.
Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
Now we speak matters business, where the government is calling on businesses to take advantage of opportunities created in international markets after Kenya signed a deal, bilateral deals with tens of countries. Now, Industrialization and Trade Cabinet Secretary Betty Minor says the government has been negotiating and signing various trade deals, adding that it is up to the business people to enter these markets and enjoy benefits of the trade agreements.
The trade imbalance between Kenya and the rest of the world is in favor with other countries. The latest data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics indicates that within the first half of this year, the value of imports exceeded that of exports by 459 billion shillings. This is despite the government aggressively seeking new markets for Kenyan products. Kenya and the UK recently struck a deal which will provide trade continuity for businesses, investors and supply chains, besides setting foundations for further bilateral ties after the UK exits the European Union next year. It is such deals that the Industrialization and Trade Cabinet Secretary says the business community has to take advantage of.
No economy around the world can thrive without the success of its businesses, because what governments do is to create that market, but nobody's going to walk you to go and consume and take advantage of that market. So I certainly hope that within the associations you can all find it within yourselves to be able to take advantage of these opportunities so that we can actually grow our additional exports.
She is underscoring the need to step up value addition on Kenyan products to ensure they fetch higher prices and are of quality in the eyes of the consumer. She lauded Melvin Marsh, who was celebrating 25 years in business, for pushing the Kenyan brand to the international market.
For the young ladies in manufacturing, I think what Melvin represents for you is that despite all those stories that you hear, and I want to tell you that half of them are not true, you can walk the journey of success with dedication, with commitment, with no sleep.
Now we are going global, and my dream is to see value-added tea packed in Kenya now in global markets. And it's something I think.
Melvin's Managing Director Flora Mutahi said young entrepreneurs can push Kenyan businesses forward with the right support and guidance. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Now, still keeping up with the matters of business, where Kenya's honey production is facing a grim future due to the widespread use of harmful chemicals. Now, according to the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, use of pesticides to control the destructive fall armyworms in parts of the country has led to massive deaths of bees. Now, this has adversely affected honey production, with Baringo County, which is the leading producer of the product in the country, being most affected.
The Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization has attributed the crisis to the excessive use of pesticides by maize farmers while controlling the fall armyworm. Calro says once the worm hit the country, farmers panicked and started using all forms of chemicals to control it, leading to the deaths of the bees.
Especially with the fall armyworm, whereby we use a lot of chemicals in maize to kill the fall armyworm. In the process, we also poisoned the bees. So the reports I'm getting from Baringo is that despite the fact that there was a lot of forage this season because of the nice rains, there was very little honey production because a lot of the bees have been killed.
Kiriga noted that the country's annual honey production stands at 14,000 metric tons against a demand of 30,000 metric tons, with imports from Tanzania and Australia bridging the deficit. Kenya's production potential stands at 100,000 metric tons.
I think as Kenyans, we still think that honey production is not a serious business, but it is, because it earns farmers in the arid and semi-arid areas a lot of money. We need it for pollination of our other crops.
We project that we should be doing between 30 to 35,000 metric tons in the next 5 years. We have scale using all these new innovations.
The low production has been attributed to poor harvesting methods and use of traditional beehives. Kiriga said the Ministry of Agriculture was working on a policy to address the issue of standards that had affected the products sold in supermarkets. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
Now, most Kenyans do not understand the rights and remedies available, in as far to protect their personal data from processing that is not in accordance with the law. Now, according to the latest Kenya edition of the annual Africa Cybersecurity Report, over 90% of Kenyans surveyed have neither understood the new Data Protection Act nor fully considered its impact. Now, data security analysts now said this may be because there has not been an enforcement regulator in place, with the appointment of the new data commissioner only being recently concluded.
The Communications Authority of Kenya attributes the increase in the number of cybersecurity threats to the global increase in malware. This includes the high level of unemployment among highly skilled tech-savvy youth, weak cybersecurity mechanisms and standards within organizations, as well as a gap in cybersecurity skills in the sub-Saharan African region. Even with these challenges, 95% of Kenyans are mostly ignorant about the country's data laws, with less than half saying they were remotely aware of its existence. During the launch of the 2020 Kenyan edition of the annual Africa Cybersecurity Report by Seriano, it also emerged that over 70% of organizations interviewed acknowledged collecting sensitive personal data and corporate data in the normal course of their operations. The report done by cybersecurity consultancy firm Seriano shows that there has been a rise in the number of cybersecurity attacks that were detected, in that the number more than doubled from 23 million in 2019 to 51 million cases in 2020. Seriano Chief Operating Officer Joseph Madenge said Kenya is at a crucial turning point, since there are a multitude of technologies that expose the general population's personal information to potential misuse. Alan Aoko, Channel 1 Business.
Crossing over to the sporting arena, that 3 days of national mourning have begun in Argentina after Diego Maradona died of a heart attack last evening at the age of 60. His body will lie in state at the Casa Rosada, the seat of the Argentinian government, during that time. Maradona, who played for clubs including Barcelona and Napoli, was a captain when Argentina won the 1986 World Cup.
3 days of national mourning have begun in Argentina following Diego Maradona's death last evening. The former Argentina attacking midfielder and manager had a successful surgery on a brain blood clot earlier in November and was to be treated for alcohol dependency. In Argentina, last night's match between Sport Club Internacional and Maradona's former club Boca Juniors was postponed. Fans flocked to La Bombonera, Boca Juniors Stadium in Buenos Aires, where many were in tears, despite, in the case of some, being too young to remember Maradona's playing days. They also congregated in the San Andres neighborhood where Maradona lived, and to La Plata, where he most recently was manager of local club Gimnasia Waegrima. Thousands of miles away, they also gathered outside Napoli's San Paolo Stadium, which was lit up in tribute to the man who scored 81 goals in 188 appearances for the Italian club. A day of mourning will take place in Naples. The mayor of the city, Luigi Di Magistris, has called for the Stadio San Paolo to be renamed in honor of Maradona. A minute's silence took place before Wednesday's Champions League matches, and the same will happen before all other European fixtures this week. Messi and Ronaldo were among current players to pay tribute, while Brazilian football great Pelé said he hoped one day he would play ball together in the sky. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola said Maradona made world football football better. Former Tottenham midfielder Ardiles, who played alongside Maradona at the 1982 World Cup, said he was a god in Argentina, in Naples, and all around the world.
Indeed, hand of God there, Maradona, Diego Maradona. Well, there's some who in this generation do not remember when he played and why he is famous as he is. May his soul continue resting in peace. And tonight from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., KBC, your true sports partner, will be showcasing Kenya versus Angola in the 2021 FIBA Afro Basket. Let's meet at that time. I'm Regina Manyara. Glad that you were watching KBC Lunchtime News. Enjoy the rest of your viewership.